I predict within 6 months to a year, there'll be no such thing as a keyword anymore. You won't even be able to pick keywords. You're going to tell Google your website, Google's going to use their index, or you're going to upload a list of like content into some backend database, and Google's going to decide based on your goals, what type of return on ad spend you want, or your target CPA, exactly which.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Caller Meetup show. I'm your host, Anthony Paluzzi, founder and CEO of Apollo Media Group. Today, I have a very special guest on the show, Isaac Rudnasky. Isaac's the founder and CEO of Adventure Media. They're a media buying agency focused on Google Ads and pay-per-click advertising. He's got an in-house team of over 20 people. He manages over $40 million in annual budget for his clients. He's also, how I found him, the creator of the best-selling Google Ads training online with over 150,000 students in over 185 countries. His agency and himself is based out of Lawrence, New York, also the host of the Isaac Rudnasky Show. Isaac, thanks for coming on today.
I appreciate you having me. I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun. Sounds like it's going to be a great time.
Hell yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to diving in and learning about what you're doing over there at Adventure and just yourself. So before we dive in to all of the nitty gritty, tell me a little bit about more around your hero's journey, how you got started, what you're doing at Adventure, your background, all that.
Sure. I tell the story a lot. I'll try to keep it the brief version. Back in 2012, I was actually striving to be an artist, and I was painting impressionist abstract paintings and selling them at art festivals in and around the Long Island area, Montauk, Quad, West Hampton, festivals of that nature, outdoor festivals during the summer. And I decided I really should have a website where maybe I could promote some of my art online or sell some of my art online or anything like that. At the time, I was like, I don't know how to make a website. Like, I don't even know who to ask to make a website. It was like the furthest thing from my mind. I barely knew how to turn on a computer. And I heard an ad on the radio for this thing called Squarespace, which many people are familiar with now. It's a massive company. Back then, it was actually within its first couple of years of being founded. And when I heard that radio ad, I was like, there's no way anybody could make a website. Just not possible. But I went to squarespace.com. 17 hours later, I had a website. It was like this really exciting, thrilling experience. I had my own domain. I think it's actually still an active domain, either isaacrudansky.com or rudanskyart.com. I had put up some of my paintings, and it was like really awesome. And the next question I had, like, I think literally the next day was, well, how do I get people to come to my website? And that question led me down a journey of discovery about digital advertising, digital marketing, all the different ways that you can get people to come to your website. First and foremost, the thing that was most interesting to me was Google Ads, AdWords at the time, because it was so immediate. Like I'm a very like immediate type of guy. I like instant gratification. I like trackability, where I could give a budget. I could see how much my clicks cost. I could see how many people are on my website. I could see how many people bought from me. I could see what the cost of acquisition was. I could know my profit. The whole thing just appealed to me enormously. And I spent like a good 3-4 days, probably also consecutively sitting in my armchair in my apartment, studying Google Ads, launching my own campaign. And that was also really exciting to me. And I think that was even more exciting, like getting people to come to the website who were searching for paintings for sale or whatever it was, whatever the keywords that I chose. That was probably more thrilling and more exciting than building the website itself. So after that, I said, well, I spent the last 4 days learning this, so I must be an expert. That was my natural cockiness. And I said, I'll teach some other people how to do it. So the first thing I built another website on Squarespace called the AdWord Academy. And the original idea was that I would just do some training, like charge people to train them in using Google AdWords effectively. And shortly thereafter, I decided that it would be better to have an agency model where we would just do the work for the company. And I guess that was like the beginning of an agency. And for the first couple of years, I took any job I can get, whether it was AdWords or not, family, friends, helping them with a LinkedIn page or a Yelp listing or a web design, whatever it was, just to get my feet wet. And over those first, 6 to 18 months, I guess, was a lot of learning, a lot of round the clock work, picking up a few clients here and there, starting my own advertising, just hustling to find business. And it's hard to pinpoint an exact time, but I guess it turned into a real business at some point. And I started taking it more seriously as a career and as a business. And now we're actually about to move into our third office space. We started off in my apartment. It was me and one other person, my first hire, at my dining room table. We were there for 6 months. Then we went to a small 400 square foot office. And from there, we went to a 2,000 square foot office for the last 2 years. And now we're moving into a new building over the next couple of weeks as we continue to expand. So that's basically the founding story.
That's quite the journey. That's pretty awesome. What was the year? I think I missed that. What was the year when you started really?
Around 2012, yeah.
2012. Okay, cool. So you went from really painting or being an artist to now pushing some ads online. That's pretty badass. I like that.
Pretty strange, right?
Okay, cool. So you've literally seen not just Google Ads and Google AdWords evolve into what it is today, but several different types of media online evolve to what it is and how it influences just businesses and the digital economy. So I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So that's actually very similar to how I got started too. I was really around the affiliate space. I accidentally stumbled into it. I went down a rabbit hole of what is this and how do I do this more? And I became addicted to refreshing stats, like you said, and seeing that instant gratification. So that's pretty cool. What kind of industries do you guys focus on at Adventure?
All industries. So some agencies will specialize in a specific vertical. But we are open to dealing with clients in all verticals. And we've worked with clients in almost every vertical, whether you're e-commerce, lead gen, healthcare, legal, education, B2B, B2C, all that sort of stuff. We look more for clients that could scale, clients that have a good website. Typically, sometimes we will take on a client that does need a website refresh, clients that have a budget, we're typically not working with like unfunded startups. So if you're trying to launch a Shopify store, you're trying to launch a lead gen business, we're not your agency, just because you need different a company in that stage needs a different sort of work than the type of work we do. So the type of advertising we do is it's more effective for companies that are more established or a startup that has funding.
Okay, excellent. So are there any really cool success stories or failures even that you've seen over your career that you think the audience would love?
There's some great failures, some great successes. Let's see. Well, one of my funniest failures was a client, one of my earliest clients. He had given us like a really, really strict budget, like not to spend more than $2,000 a day or something like that. And he was like really, really intense about it. And I didn't really know that much about what I was doing back at the time. He was one of my first clients, and we accidentally spent like the entire $2,000 by 11 a.m. in the morning. It was an online store that sold custom trophies and awards and things like that. And he calls me freaking out. I pick up the phone. He's like cursing me out. He's like, "What the hell's going on here?" And I say, I apologize. So I go and I reset the budget for $1,000. So the next day it only spends $1,000 over the course of the day. But at the time, the way Google AdWords was set up is that if you change your budget in the middle of the day, it resets the budget for that same day. Mm-hmm. So over the next 90 minutes, he spent another $1,000.
Okay.
And that was not a pretty next phone call I received an hour and a half later.
Oh,
but he didn't fire us, which was amazing. So we've had those types of we've had cases like that that have categorized as some epic failures. Recent successes, one thing that I really enjoy is for AMC Networks. They're a big television media company. They hired us to help them promote a couple of their streaming services they own. They don't necessarily compete with Netflix, but it's the same concept as Netflix, $6.99 a month. Sundance Now, Shudder, these are streaming services. That Shudder's specifically for horror. Sundance Now is specifically for more like cerebral documentaries, movies like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of original programming, most notably Little Drummer Girl. So it was a really good show that was on AMC over the last year. So we produced a series of videos that were like sort of indie movie night recipes, like bourbon hot chocolate and grilled cheese tacos and pizza chips. And we shot the videos, sort of like that tasty style video where like you see ingredients being made. And we just sort of advertise those videos on Facebook, where the appeal was, like movie night recipes to pair with your Sundance Now subscription. And those got a lot of traffic, a lot of shares. They had very positive results because it was interesting content. It wasn't necessarily about their product, but it was sort of like a sponsorship or just content being produced that was really relevant and really interesting to the people that we were going after. So that was a fun campaign we ran recently.
Nice. So you guys did all the video production and just the
Mm-hmm.
entire media buying process.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's cool to see it from just the original and the inception of everything to the creation of the ad, which is
Yeah.
the video
Yeah.
in this. I want to talk a little bit about Google and Google Ads specifically. So a big part of our audience are marketers and agencies, and they rely on Google to grow their campaigns and just grow their business overall with Google Ads, because it's the dominant force right now for digital advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we're seeing over the past year is Google's making a lot of different policy changes, preventing certain types of ads and ad units to, or even ad extensions to become approved and go live. And I'm seeing that Google is not necessarily becoming more difficult to advertise in, but it's evolving to something where you need to take your process and your blueprint to more of, if I'm a brand, how would I use Google Ads to grow my business? So with that overarching idea, going into 2020 and just right now, even going into Q4, since we're fresh in it, where do you see Google Ads shifting their model to? And what do you see it evolving into the new year? And what do you think our audience could benefit from that by staying ahead of the curve?
Yeah, there's a massive shift happening now in Google Ads. And it began probably a year ago or a year plus in earnest, but it's been happening for a little while, but it's becoming more and more important that agencies get on top of this, is automation. When I got into this game, even 5-6 years ago, there was automated bidding you could use, like Target CPA, where you don't, instead of bidding instead of putting in a max you're willing to pay for a click on a given keyword, you told Google what you wanted to pay for a conversion, and Google decided what you should pay for each individual click. But in most cases, it didn't work that well. It got much better over the last couple of years, and now Google is clearly moving in the direction where they're going to start phasing out manual bidding altogether. So all the training that we were used to, where it's like keyword research, keyword matching, that's all going to go away. I predict within 6 months to a year, there'll be no such thing as a keyword anymore. You won't even be able to pick keywords. You're going to tell Google your website, Google's going to use their index, or you're going to upload a list of like content into some backend database, and Google's going to decide based on your goals, what type of return on ad spend you want, or your target CPA, exactly which searches on Google to bid on, how to bid on them, where to bid on them. They're even starting to automate some of the ad writing process. So they're pushing what's called dynamic search ads now, which is already a campaign with no keywords and no headlines. They dynamically generate the headline while you can still write the description of the ad. But that learning all about the algorithms that are driving this machine learning, how they work in your favor, how to utilize them properly, is the number one most important thing anyone who's interested in Google Ads in 2019, 2020 has to know. Because while manual bidding still works well in certain circumstances, there are definitely clients that like prefer that. It's not going to be around forever. It has a very, very limited shelf life, and the future of Google Ads is automation.
Okay, wow. Okay, so that's excellent. That's some really good feedback. So you're saying, in a way, Google wants to control more of the ad creation, optimization, and scaling process technically.
Right.
So that they can focus on delivering the best experience to their users, all while just making sure that they hit the metrics that you're looking for, which are either your target CPA or your return on ad spend. That's interesting. Okay, so are you seeing success there right now in your agency by really adopting that?
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, so we're adopting it at a rapid pace for all our clients. We're also trying to educate our clients about this, because a lot of clients will become, well, one is they'll say like, well, why are we paying you if you're using automation? And it's a mistake to think that way, because there's a lot of different types of automation you could use. They all work in different ways, and an agency that has experience knows how to do it. There are a lot of betas that Google releases, like different advertising products within their ecosystem that agencies get access to first. But we are seeing success with it with a lot of clients. And that's basically because we've been writing a series of blog posts, incorporating that into our video content. And Google actually picked up a couple of the blog posts that our president, director of client services, wrote and posted online. They were picked up by Google internally. They were read quite a bit, and Google invited him to represent our agency they actually four different times. Brazil coming up, I think, next month. He was just in Dublin, and previously we were in London and in New York at the different Google headquarters around the world, training their agency teams, their agency development teams, on how best an agency should be adopting automation, and how to sort of bring their clients on board with that. So that was a great thing for us from our own marketing perspective.
That's excellent. That's awesome. So it's kind of cool to know that hopefully in the future, speaking with Google Ad Rep will be influenced by some of the teachings you have. So
yeah,
maybe there'll be some principles behind that, the Rudansky principles.
Exactly.
So this kind of brings me into the part where I want to talk about your training. And this is how I found you. So for anyone who's listening that doesn't know who Isaac is, Isaac has arguably the best course that I've seen out there on just full Google Ads training, from the basics, the fundamentals, all the way up to advanced techniques. And that training is available on Udemy. Is that right? Still?
Yes. A lot of it's available on a lot of the courses are available on Udemy.
Okay, excellent. So, and just by the way, if anyone ever comes to me and says, I need to learn Google Ads, that's the first course I direct them to. So you owe me some affiliate commissions, bro.
Absolutely. I'll get you a link.
Okay, cool. But that's how I found Isaac. That's how, when I really wanted to step my game up and just learn different, not just techniques on how to use AdWords, but really the psychology behind it and the psychology of the consumer and how to use certain things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the course I used. So if anyone listening who isn't familiar with Isaac, I highly recommend going over to Udemy and finding his course. You can see his face right there in the thumbnail. But with your trainings on the media buying side and the ad side, are there certain focuses that you have that you want your students to learn? Is it really just how to implement this into your business? And are there certain focuses that you're moving towards in the future?
Yeah. So the educational content on Udemy is more static, where it's like hard skills, how to use Google Ads. There's a course in remarketing, course in landing page design, psychology, course on Facebook. The training that I'm really been focusing on now over the last 6 months or so is called the Agency Overdrive. And it's a constantly updated online library of training videos on demand, where I upload a new lecture every single week. These lectures are more in depth. They're usually about 30 minutes to an hour plus long each. They usually come with templates and calculators and proposal templates you can download. It's geared for freelancers and agency owners who are trying to become more profitable with selling their services. So there's two components to the training. There's business development, like how to write a proposal, how to find clients, what to charge, how to build a bonus model, how to calculate key metrics for a client. But then there's also the actual training part, which is Facebook ads training, conversion rate optimization, running A/B tests on websites, advanced Google ads training. And as Google Ads continues to update their system, the content in the Agency Overdrive becomes more fresh and updated. Right now we have over 2,000 subscribers. The list price, full price for the training is $99 a month. It's cancel anytime. But for your listeners, we could offer a 70% discount at $29 a month. And if anybody wants to check that out, I'll send a link over to Anthony and he'll have it posted
thank you.
in the chat.
That's great. Appreciate that. So from what I see, what you're doing is you're essentially teaching individuals and marketers, just freelancers in general, how to actually use Google Ads as a tool, and then how to use that tool within your agency to grow your agency and scale your agency for your clients. I love that. That's really cool. So one thing I want everyone to understand when they listen to this is I often see just a shit ton of trainings on how to run ads better, or how to manage your agency better, or just how to do something in general better. But there's really not a lot of proof of concept behind it. Does this work? And who is this person selling this? And what's the ongoing support look like? What are the principles? One thing that I like about just your Udemy course and how you're applying that to the Agency Overdrive is that the proof of concept is there with Google Ads and Udemy. You've proven that you've been able to do it, and then applying that to the agency is great. So I recommend not just your course and your agency course to anyone, but really just look at who the person is, what's their success, and are they actually using the principles, and have they proven it out before you ever dive into any type of course or training or anything at all that essentially costs money. So I really love how you apply the two, so people can take that first step and that second step. So with Agency Overdrive, it sounds like really if you're skilled with Google Ads, then you can take that mindset of all I knew how to do is buy ads, but now I can take the business development side, the sales side, the billing procedures, and the scaling techniques and put an operation behind it. Have you seen any of your students take pretty much starting from nothing, starting fresh to a big success story right now?
Yeah, many of my, well, a big success story can mean one of two things. Like, I don't know if they've went on to start big companies, but a big success is many of my students have left their 9-to-5 jobs and have been able to start a profitable business, paying their bills, earning significantly more income than they were earning at a 9-to-5 job by following along with the course. And I get messages like that and emails like that every single day, where students tell me that, it's changed their life and they were able to get into digital marketing, either leave a job that they didn't like and land a job at a bigger agency, or start selling these services on their own successfully, which is really the most fulfilling thing to me, because that's the end goal of a lot of this training. So there's definitely been a lot of success. It's not easy. And I say that outright, like it's certainly not easy. It's unbelievably hard. Same as starting any business.
Yeah.
It's not like, like watch my video and you're going to start making money on your own. Absolutely not. But the content in the training, if you're working exceedingly hard and you're hustling and you're putting in long hours consistently and you're intelligent, then the content in the training will help you do it much more effectively and much faster.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. Running an agency is not easy at all. It's actually pretty stressful.
Yeah,
and
very.
It can drive someone crazy as well. But I like what you said there. It's not turnkey. It's not going to give you the golden ticket right off the bat. It's just going to help you amplify the things you're good at and avoid the things that maybe are pitfalls and get over those hurdles better than you normally would. So, so transitioning a little bit from the training side, because the training is very tangible and it's very, it's actionable. One thing I like to do on the Caller Meetup show is that when we have guests on, I want them to be able to give something to our listeners where they can take and possibly put into action immediately, whether it's around media buying, running an agency, scaling operations, whatever that may be. So I wanted to ask, are there any hacks or tangible, actionable items that you can recommend to our listeners to really make their Google Ads efforts even more productive and effective?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that really helps is to, instead of just diving straight into Google Ads and focusing on the media buying, spend time understanding your client's product or service, and look at their website, look at the landing pages. That's a huge part that people tend to forget about, where you could do all these great things, buying traffic and getting traffic to your site. But if your product isn't competitively priced, or there's not a market for it, or your website is not usable, it's not user-friendly, you're not explaining the value of what you're selling well enough, then the best advertising campaign on Google in the world is not going to help you. You're not going to be profitable. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, is that they don't take the time to learn the market, learn the product, understand what about this product is appealing to its customers, how to potentially structure information and your message around those different appeals. And then once you fix some of those things, or you're implementing a few different tests, then that's when you could start thinking about buying traffic more effectively from Google Ads. Because Google Ads is like, okay, it's like you're going to have 15 other businesses or 50 other businesses that are interested in the same click as you are.
Yep.
So the only thing that's going to make a real difference, being better at Google Ads will make some difference, but that's not going to make the biggest difference. The biggest difference will come as you optimize your whole business, as you optimize your product, as you optimize your service, figuring out more ways to extract revenue from your leads and your customers. That's really where the winners and losers are separated here.
Excellent. Okay. I like that. Taking a full funnel approach to everything, not just at top of the funnel when they click. And then I like what you said about going to the client's landing page, or even if you're just a freelancer doing lead gen, looking at your own landing page. Don't just look at it as, I need to squeeze the sale out of that user once they hit the landing page. Look at it as, okay, well, one, how does this benefit the audience? How do I tailor this landing page or just ad unit to that particular audience, learning about the audience and how they're going to apply to that end client who's working that lead or working that phone call, and then optimizing from there. Because once you optimize from there and really look at the metrics and A/B split test, it's going to essentially give intrinsic value across the board in the entire ad campaign. So thank you, dude. That's awesome. It's more of a high level approach to things, but I think it's often overlooked because it is an action that you need to take. It's a mindset too. So just to wrap some things up, this is the part of the show where I really like to dive into just the things you like to use at your agency, things you use for your success, and then also just you the person. So I'm going to run through some questions and you can bust them out quick. We can dive into them deeper. It's your call, but talk to me about your top 3 favorite marketing tools that you use right now.
Top 3 favorite marketing tools. Okay. So I love Chargeify. Chargeify is a software that allows us to set up really great subscription billing for our clients. That makes it very easy for them to pay us by credit card or by check or by wire. We can set up setup fees, trials, monthly payments, custom landing pages for clients to update their billing information. That's Chargeify. I really like it. That's the first software I use on a regular basis. Next one I'm really loving is Todoist, Todoist.
Okay.
It's a great to-do list app. I know they have it for Mac. I'm not sure if they have it for Windows. I assume they do. Natural language. So if I have to go quickly in, I click one key on my keyboard. I say, remember to send out a proposal to client X Thursday at 4, and then enter. And it's not only integrated with my Google Calendar, it could integrate with Slack on my phone. It allows you to organize things by different projects. So that's really great. I love Todoist. And I would say, I guess from a business development perspective, again, is Airtable, which is a great tool that I think more agencies and more companies overall should utilize for staying, for project management, staying on track. It's sort of like Google Sheets. It's a spreadsheet system, but it's really flexible and really easy to use. We use it for tracking applicants through the resume process. We use it for tracking client projects, whether it's web design or whether it's onboarding a new client or whether it's things that have to get done for a new client. It's easy for everyone to stay on top of everything that needs to get done. So those are three tools that I really, really like. I use every single day.
Very cool. I used Todoist myself. I love it. It's the mobile app is just so friggin' helpful.
Yeah,
and it just syncs with everything. Awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite podcast?
I'm not such a huge podcast guy, but I have been listening recently to Revisionist History by Malcolm Gladwell, where he sort of goes back and dissects from a psychological, behavioral perspective events in history that have been forgotten about or haven't been given a lot of attention. It's a really good podcast. I love it. And nice. I couldn't tell you if it's better or worse than other podcasts because I haven't listened to too many.
Okay, cool. It's that like I listen to Hardcore History, and so that's really cool to just if I'm going on a long drive or just anything. If I want to break up, it's usually the podcasts are like 3 hours, but it just really dives in deep to different events around history. I'd check it out.
Hardcore History. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and I'll check out yours too. Your favorite digital marketing blog aside from your own?
My favorite digital marketing blog aside from my own. Occam's Razor is very good. Written by Avinash Kaushik. He is the chief something or other at Microsoft or Google. Wish I could remember. I'm pretty sure it's Google. That's some sort of data scientist. So it's not a very well known, like not a super popular blog, but his posts are like really, really, really thorough and really in depth, really interesting. So I would definitely recommend people checking out Occam's Razor.
Occam's Razor. You're going to tell me how to spell that later, and I'll put.
You're going to tell me how to spell it. I don't know. It's the okay. OCCAMS or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
I'll get a link to it.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put a link to everything you recommend too. We'll put a link in the show notes. Talk to me about your favorite book if you have one.
Favorite book? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't have I'm not sure if I have a favorite book, but a couple books that I've been reading recently that have been really good was Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Shoe Dog, okay.
Unbelievable book. One of the best books I've read in the last few years for sure. It just is written by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Talks about his story, his founding story. It's unreal.
Awesome.
The book that I just recently finished reading was by Mark Randolph, who was the first CEO and co-founder of Netflix, called That Will Never Work. Book just came out. I loved it also. Just the story of how Netflix got started, told by the original CEO and co-founder who is no longer with Netflix. But he sort of got Netflix off the ground single-handedly with his first initial team.
Okay.
So Really good book. Those are two
That's
books that I
cool.
would strongly, strongly recommend.
Excellent. Okay, cool. I'm definitely not a good, not a good. That's not a good way to put it. I'm definitely not I'd say a book reader. I'm more of a book listener.
Right. Okay.
And I'll check those out because.
Yep. They definitely have audio books of both of them, I think.
Okay. Cool. Now I'm going to dive into a little bit about like just you. A few questions about you, the person. What's the first hour of your day look like?
So recently, well, it's good you asked me that, because if you asked me that a year ago, it would have been a disastrous answer, or even like 7 months ago. But I've been trying to get myself into a better morning routine, just because if I have a better morning, my day is just much better, which
Big
is
time.
natural. It's for everybody, I think. So like I used to just be in a terrible habit of going to sleep at any hour, whether it be 12 or 3 or 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and then waking up at different times, rolling into the office at different times, just exhausted, cranky. So now I try to get up around 5:40. I have 2 big cups of coffee in a chair near my kitchen. And I while I'm having coffee, I'll read or I'll check my email. I'm trying to now not check my email or my phone at all until I get to the office. So I'm trying to, like, let's say, give like a good 30 minutes just reading whatever whatever book I'm in the middle of.
Yeah.
I have a lot of books that I want to read. I just I've been like really bad with reading. So then at around 6:50, let's say, I'll work out, as you could tell.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't fit you in.
And I'll work out 4 days a week in my garage for about an hour. And then I'll shower. I have 2 kids, say goodbye to the kids, and probably try to get to the office by 8:20, 8:30.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That's the first couple hours of my day.
Beautiful. I have a kind of a similar mindset to you win the morning, you win the day. That's how I look at it.
The hardest thing, like working for me, some people like working out, but those are weirdos. Like I hate working out.
Okay.
So if you could get up in the morning and work out, like you've done the hardest thing you're going to have to do the entire day, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I'm one of those weirdos. I love to work out early in the morning and just try to win the day. It's kind of half of my team is on the West Coast, and a lot of our industry is on the West Coast, which I see. And it's always a cool feeling knowing that when I get to the office around when I aim for getting to the office around 9 o'clock, that I'm 3 hours ahead of people that they're not even awake yet and they haven't even started to crush their own morning. So
right.
I agree with that. Big time, especially running an agency too, where things are more flexible. Without that discipline, it's kind of like you let yourself get too flexible and you fall behind on projects.
Totally. 100%. No, 100%.
You get cranky. Definitely some members on my team can attest to that. Anthony must have woke up late.
Also just from your own circadian rhythms, it's really important to wake up at the same time every day. Just so your body and mind are aligned, and you feel more positive when you're getting up at the same time every day. You make better decisions. Like I work much better in the mornings. When I wake up early, I just have a much clearer head, much better start to my day.
So the last question I really have for you about you as the person, what's the single best piece of advice that you've received?
It's a good one. I think one of the pieces of advice that have stuck with me was when I was younger. This was when I was probably still in elementary school or something like that.
Okay.
And someone very or probably elementary school, maybe high school, someone very close to my parents was over, and I was, and he just he sort of he was an older man. He leaned over and he told me, he's like, you should merit to work very hard. And that was it. That's what he said. Like, he didn't say you should be successful or you should be this, you should be happy. He's like, you should just work hard. And I think that really stuck with me, because it sounds very cliche. Like there's no shortcuts or this, or you have to work hard. But especially in today's culture where working hard and putting in long hours is becoming frowned upon. We live in a culture of entitlement. We live in a culture of what could the other person do for me? In what way am I being victimized? In what way am I? And those things might be true. There's a lot of victims out there. No one's life is perfect. My life was not perfect. It is not perfect now. I have plenty of my own psychological torment and issues that I deal with on a daily basis. So I could brood about those things, or I could complain that I need to, vacation, 4 months out of every year, and I can't work more than 6 hours or 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day. But that's not going to get you very far. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when the dust settles, you're not going to be successful. So I think the best advice that I've heard or that I could give is very, very hard work, very, very consistently. You have to show up during the bad days, the good days, when you're depressed, when you're not depressed. You got to, even if you can't function and be productive, you have to go through the motions. You just get yourself out of bed. I've had many days where I just sat at my desk, staring at the computer screen, couldn't work. But you show up, your body's there.
Yep.
And that's how you work out of it. So it's hard work consistently. I have no problem with working a 15-hour day. I do it all the time. I enjoy what I do. And then I have no problem enjoying myself, on the beach for a couple afternoons.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's like this idea of really, really hard work is, I feel like it's being lost today. Like some of the younger people that I work with that I see is like the concept of hard work is just like foreign to them. And it's not as common. And it's not as, if you go back probably like 50, 60 years to previous generation, like people just worked harder. Like they didn't feel entitled. They didn't feel like the first thing that they ask about when they come to work at a new job is not about benefits and vacation policy and flexible work hours. It was just like, I'm here to work. I'm here to work, and that's all I'm here to do. And that's an attitude that I think successful people always have. I think almost every successful person has that attitude. It's just like, just work hard. There's not even like a question about it. It's not even like, should I do it? Should I not do it? How do I do it? It just is. I work hard. I work hard every day consistently. I put my best effort in, and those are people who become successful.
I fucking love that. I mean, it's so simple, and it's just so easy to adopt into your life, and just have that mindset of, don't worry about all of the ancillary things. Don't worry, like you just said, about the benefits and
don't worry about your own honor. Don't worry about your own like I get calls from text messages from clients at all hours of the morning or night. Like I don't complain. I get back on the phone with them.
Yeah.
I don't spend time like worrying about like, oh, was that right? Is this person offending me? Did this person say something that's not nice? Like, banish those thoughts from your mind immediately, and just work hard.
Definitely. Yeah. There's no reason to focus on the small things. Work hard, kick some ass, go for the win. And then you get to enjoy those things that you kind of think about, like, oh, well, do I want to go on that vacation? You'll feel better about it. It's like me personally, it's kind of a bad mindset. I'm sure my family notices it, but I love working a 12-hour day if I can at times, just grinding it out and getting it done. Fulfilling. Yeah, it's fulfilling, but it's like you said, you got to show up, you got to work hard, you got to do the work. And those 12-hour days, those 16-hour days will pay off. And then it will just motivate you even further. I love that. It's so simple. It's so actionable. Work hard, work your ass off, and get the job done and celebrate the win.
Yeah. Listen, and I'm not putting, like, the idea of working smart and working efficiently, that's a whole other can of worms. Like time management, working efficiently, prioritizing, those are all important things. But fundamentally, step one is you have to be willing to work hard and work hard every day.
I love that. I could go hours on that, but we don't have enough time for that. So, dude, this was an awesome conversation. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on. I think our listeners are going to really extract a good amount from this. And then as well, if they do decide to check out your trainings, they're going to learn a shit ton more. We're going to include all those links. So as we wrap this up, tell everyone how they can reach you.
You could reach me by going to our website, adventureppc.com. You could check out what we're doing from an agency side. You could look at my courses on Udemy. You could follow me on Twitter. I'm sort of active on Twitter here and there at Isaac Rudansky, or you could just shoot me an email, isaac@adventureppc.com, isaac@adventureppc.com. I try to get back to everybody who emails me, unless it's like a ridiculous email.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, seriously, thank you for the time. It was awesome having you.
My pleasure. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Isaac.